Hey everyone, Laser here, and today I am excited to reveal a new card from Mythgard's upcoming Rings of Immortality expansion. I'm not going to beat around the bush, we're going to get right to it. The card is called Diehard Dreni. It is a 1 green gem, 1 mana 1/1. Standard rate for a standard cost. Interestingly, green only has 2 other green 1-drops in Dora, a 0/2, and Mothmara, a 2/1. Dora is not really played in Constructed or anywhere really, and Mothmara is for a spells matter kind of deck, so that's not really going to fulfill the same role that Diehard Dreni is going to fill, as we'll discuss pretty soon. So Diehard Dreni ends up fulfilling a spot that we don't really have filled in green so far. 1 gem for a 1 cost is also relatively splashable into another color. If you're having a 2-color deck and the other color is the primary color, so you're doing like a Valkyrie's deck and you just want more 1-drops so you don't want to play red for some reason, then you can throw green in, Diehard Dreni, maybe a couple other green cards, and you're off to the races. The important part though is the text on Diehard Dreni. Upon entering the Boneyard, transforms into a 4/4 Fanatical Phantom, which looks a little something like this. It is a 2-cost 1 green gem 4/4. So just on face value, you get a 1 mana 1/1 that turns into a 4/4 when it goes into the Boneyard. Great, that's pretty great. There are a couple ways you can get this into the Boneyard, and all of them work. It doesn't have to go from the board. Obviously, going from the board is the easiest way to do it at first. You throw it on the board on turn 1, you trade into something, maybe it just gets pinged off. It doesn't really matter there's a lot of ways to get rid of a 1/1, right? But say you're on Soul's Path, you get that back really, really quickly. If you're, playing like a red aggro deck with a green splash, then you have a bunch of rush minions that you can sack into stuff, and then you're getting a 4/4 back for your trouble out of a 1/1. That's a really good rate. There are a couple of reanimation style decks that utilize early game pressure as well. Usually reanimation decks are focused around having big bomby threats, right? Your 6, 7, 8 drops that you want to reanimate on turn 2, 3. But there is also a red reanimator aggro deck. It's an Arrowbert special from a while ago. I haven't played it in a really long time. I don't know how well it works, but it was really, really spicy when he played it, and it was a lot of fun. And this actually slots in really well because you get to have another way to get something important into your Boneyard without having to discard something meaty. Say you have your disc, you proc it, but you don't have anything good to discard like a 6, 7, 8 drop. Well, the Dreni Diehard also transforms if you discard it. Any manner of getting it into the Boneyard will turn it into a 4/4. So, okay, maybe reanimating a 4/4 isn't the greatest thing in the world, but when you get to ditch that and then play another 1-drop like a Strigoi or something like that, that's a lot of pressure that you're potentially putting on pretty early. Other things that can discard them, there's a bunch of spells in green that care about discarding cards to draw. This fits pretty well in there as well, just as, hey, you have an early drop to ward off aggression, and then you can discard it. If you draw it later in the game, you get a 4/4 back for your trouble if you have any way of reanimating, which maybe you do, maybe you don't. Even if you don't, a 1/1 for the early game and burn fodder later in the game is still perfectly serviceable. So I think this has a lot of legs and a lot of different types of decks. The deck I'm most excited to try it in is just straight up red splashing green aggro. When I started playing early on in the beta, my favorite deck was red-green aggro with a lot of agile creatures. I thought Gamayun was the greatest creature in the world. I freaking loved that thing. It's a 4/4 with agile that lets you divine some cards away. It's great. And this fits really, really well into there. I was playing Souls anyway, so I could, get my resources back without having to run a bunch of dead draw spells. I didn't want to take the tempo hit of having to draw cards, so I just played Souls instead. And this is the best Souls card early drop that green has, period. And getting a 4/4 back for your trouble when you were going to play a 1/1 perfectly happily anyway, it's really, really solid. I think probably the most important part of all of this, though, is that it's at common. It means you can run 4 of them. So you really only ever need to hit one of these transforming and becoming another resource to use for it to be a worthwhile inclusion. So that means you can have 4 chances to draw it in your opening hand. It increases the consistency of getting that transform into a 4/4. And I think that's a really, really important fact. If this was an uncommon or a rare, you would very much less frequently get to see this card in your opening hand, which means it's much less valuable. So the fact that it's a common, you can shove 4 of them in your deck pretty reliably, get this in the first couple turns, really, really nice. So that is going to be it. That is the reveal that I had for the upcoming Mythgard expansion. Let me know what you think in the comments. What kind of decks are you going to run it in? Constructed? Arena? Anything else? Maybe like a Pauper format? This could be really, really strong. I think there's a lot of interesting ways this card could be applied, and I think there's a lot of archetypes that don't exist yet that could potentially be really, really helped out by this new card. So let me know what you think. Follow me Twitter, Twitch, sub, YouTube, like, comment, all that good stuff. Helps me out a whole lot. Join the Mythgard Discord if you want to talk about this card and all of the other spoiled cards. And if you missed any of the other spoiled cards, you can go to mythgardhub.com, where they are keeping a running list of all cards that have been spoiled so far. And until then, this is Laser. See you next time.